mollify, pacify, quiet, soothe, still, tranquilize. Allay and alleviate are closely kindred in signification and have been often interchanged in usage. But in strictness, to allay is to lay to rest, quiet or soothe that which is excited. To alleviate, on the other hand, is to lighten a burden. We allay suffering by using means to soothe and tranquilize the sufferer. We alleviate suffering by doing something toward removal of the cause, so that there is less to suffer. Where the trouble is wholly or chiefly in the excitement, to allay the excitement is virtually to remove the trouble. As, to allay rage or panic, we alleviate poverty, but do not allay it. Pacify, directly from the Latin, and appease, from the Latin through the French, signify to bring to peace. To mollify is to soften. To calm, quiet, or tranquilize is to make still. Compose, to place together. Unite, adjust to calm and settled condition. To soothe, originally to send to, humour, is to bring to pleased quietude. We allay excitement, appease a tumult, calm agitation, compose our feelings or countenance, pacify the quarrelsome, quiet the boisterous or clamorous, soothe grief or distress. Compare alleviate. Antonyms: agitate, arouse, excite, fan, kindle, provoke, rouse, stir, stir up. Allege. Synonyms: adduce, advance, affirm, assert, asseverate, assign, aver, cite, claim, declare, introduce, maintain, offer, plead, produce, say, state. To allege is formally to state as true or capable of proof, but without proving. To adduce, literally to lead to, is to bring the evidence up to what has been alleged. Adduce is a secondary word. Nothing can be adduced in evidence till something has been stated or alleged, which the evidence is to sustain. An alleged fact stands open to question or doubt. To speak of an alleged document, an alleged will, an alleged crime, is either to question, or at least very carefully to refrain from admitting, that a document exists, that a will is genuine, or that a crime has been committed. Alleged is, however, respectful. To speak of the so-called will or deed, etc., would be to cast discredit upon the document, and imply that the speaker was ready to brand it as unquestionably spurious. Alleged simply concedes nothing and leaves the question open. To produce is to bring forward, as for instance, papers or persons. Adduce is not used of persons. Of them we say introduce or produce. When an alleged criminal is brought to trial, the counsel on either side are accustomed to advance a theory, and adduce the strongest possible evidence in its support. They will produce documents and witnesses, cite precedents, assign reasons, introduce suggestions, offer pleas. The accused will usually assert his innocence. Compare state. Allegiance. Synonyms: devotion, faithfulness, fealty, homage, loyalty, obedience, subjection. Allegiance is the obligation of fidelity and obedience that an individual owes to his government or sovereign in return for the protection he receives. The feudal uses of these words have mostly passed away with the state of society that gave them birth, but their origin still colours their present meaning. A patriotic American feels an enthusiastic loyalty to the Republic. He takes on occasion an oath of allegiance to the government, but his loyalty will lead him to do more than mere allegiance could demand. He pays homage to God alone, as the only King and Lord, or to those principles of right that are spiritually supreme. He acknowledges the duty of obedience to all rightful authority. He resents the idea of subjection. Fealty is becoming somewhat rare, except in elevated or poetic style. We prefer to speak of the faithfulness rather than fealty of citizen, wife, or friend. Antonyms: disaffection, disloyalty, rebellion, sedition, treason. Prepositions: we honour the allegiance of the citizen to the government. The government has a right to allegiance from the citizen. Allegory. Synonyms: fable, fiction, illustration, metaphor, parable, simile. In modern usage, we may say that an allegory is an extended simile, while a metaphor is an abbreviated simile contained often in a phrase, perhaps in a word. The simile carries its comparison on the surface, in the words as, like, or similar expressions. The metaphor is given directly without any note of comparison. The allegory, parable, or fable tells its story as if true, leaving the reader or hearer to discover its fictitious character and learn its lesson. All these are, in strict definition, fictions, but the word fiction is now applied almost exclusively to novels or romances. An allegory is a moral or religious tale, of which the moral lesson is a substance, and all descriptions and incidents but accessories, as in the Pilgrim's Progress. A fable is generally briefer, representing animals as speakers and actors, and commonly conveying some lesson of practical wisdom or shrewdness, as the Fables of Aesop. A parable is exclusively moral or religious, briefer and less adorned than an allegory, with its lesson more immediately discernible, given as it were at a stroke. Any comparison, analogy, instance, example, tale, anecdote, or the like, which serves to let in light upon a subject, may be called an illustration, this word in its widest use including all the rest. Compare fiction, story. Antonyms: chronicle, fact, history, narrative, record. Alleviate. Synonyms: abate, assuage, lessen, lighten, mitigate, moderate, reduce, relieve, remove, soften. Etymologically, to alleviate is to lift the burden toward oneself, and so lighten it for the bearer. To relieve is to lift it back from the bearer, nearly or quite away. To remove is to take it away altogether. Alleviate is thus less than relieve, relieve ordinarily less than remove. We alleviate, relieve, or remove the trouble. We relieve, not alleviate, the sufferer. Assuage is by derivation to sweeten, mitigate, to make mild, moderate, to bring within measure, abate, to beat down, and so make less. We abate a fever, lessen anxiety, moderate passions or desires, lighten burdens, mitigate or alleviate pain, reduce inflammation, soften, assuage or moderate grief. We lighten or mitigate punishment. We relieve any suffering of body or mind that admits of help, comfort, or remedy. Alleviate has often been confused with allay. Compare allay. Antonyms: aggravate, augment, embitter, enhance, heighten, increase, intensify, magnify, make worse. Alliance. Synonyms: coalition, compact, confederacy, confederation, federation, fusion, league, partnership, union. Alliance is, in its most common use, a connection formed by treaty between sovereign states, as for mutual aid in war. Partnership is a mercantile word, alliance chiefly political or matrimonial. Coalition is oftenest used of political parties. Fusion is now the more common word in this sense. In an alliance between nations, There is no surrender of sovereignty, and no union, except